Yake to step up and take on the chair, and we'll move ahead, and hopefully the Councillor McCabe will be able to join us. I see that you started recording, so I think we can, Dan, whenever you're ready, I think we can dive into the agenda.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Mike. Okay, it's a little after 4 o'clock. We'll call the special meeting to order. The first item of business is the adoption of the agenda. We have a recommendation here that the agenda for the August 10th, 2021 Township of Wellington North Recreation Parks and Leisure Committee meeting be accepted and passed. So I guess.
I shall move that.
And I can second that then, Mike.
Or do you want it the other way around, Mike? Or
No, that's fine. That's
okay.
Fine. We'll carry on.
All right. So all in favor?
Yay.
That's carried. All right. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest?
No, sir.
All right. Seeing none. The minutes of the previous meeting, July 6th, 2021 were approved by council on July 12th, 2021. Business arising from the minutes. We have the wayfinding signage. Mandy, I think this is your cue.
Thank you very much, Chair Yake. So what I'm going to do is share my screen here. Okay, so I just wanted to bring this in front of committee one last time here. There was a slight change after it went to council. So council had voted to remove the Simply Explore from the top of the Mount Forest logo. As this space had some white area there, and because the Arthur logo included the EST date, we asked for the manufacturer to put in the established 1879, as this is slightly different than the conversation that was, oh, did we just lose member Milne? Sorry, just going to stop sharing for a moment. We did.
Okay, Mandy, yeah, we've lost quorum without Brian, so we'll hang on for a second and hope that he can jump back on.
There he is.
Just when you think things are going along nice. Sorry about that.
So I will share my screen one more time. Sorry about that. So I just wanted to bring it to committee's attention then of that change. Outside of that, the signs remain the same. So bringing it forward to receive for information if okay with proceeding as is. Switching to Arthur there.
Question, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Mandy, how big physically are these signs? Like what sort of dimensions are they?
So they range. They can make them whatever size we would like. These ones are 2.5 by 3.5, I believe. Depending on the location, they may switch in size though to ensure that they're legible.
Right.
So the ones on Main Street will be slightly larger just because they will be elevated a little more than the ones on the side of Frederick Street.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, I had one question too, Mandy. How many locations are there for? Is it the same amount of locations in both Arthur and Mount Forest, or?
No, there's not. So in Arthur, we have 6 signs locations. And in Mount Forest, we have 11 signage locations.
Okay. All right.
And
Very
that,
good.
sorry, and that's simply to do with the location of the recreation amenities in Mount Forest. They're more spread out, so we need more signage to sign to destination, where in Arthur, a lot of the amenities are located in a central location, so less signs were required.
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, they look good. Nice. The adjustments look good, and it'll be nice to see them go up. Will they go up this year? Yeah, they will.
Yes, through Chair Yake, Public Works has offered to support us with the installation of these. So once they pass through council, they will be ordered and they will be installed later this year is the plan. However, things may change according to our supplier, but yes, the plan is.
Very good. Very good. Any other questions?
Nope, none here.
No? Okay. All right, so we have a recommendation here that the Recreation, Parks and Leisure Committee receive for information the final design of the recreation amenity wayfinding sign as presented. All in favor? Carried. What, do I need to move her in a seconder for that, Mike, or how are we?
I think we can adjust that. We can handle that.
adjust accordingly.
Yep.
We can adjust
Absolutely.
accordingly. All right.
It's a
Okay.
pretty short list to
Uh,
choose from.
I don't know how I could forget that with just the two of us here. All right, moving on. We have two deputations here today. And the first one is Jensen Williams in regards to Take Back the Night.
I've just moved Jensen into the panelist room. There she is.
There she is.
Welcome, Jensen. The floor is yours.
Great, thank you so much for having me. I'll just share my screen if that's okay. I have some slides for you folks this evening.
Mhm.
All right, well, thank you so much for having me. My name is Jensen. I use she and they pronouns, and I work as the public educator over at Guelph Wellington Women in Crisis. And I want to thank you folks for having me and also just wanting to share some information with you today, a little bit about our agency, Guelph Wellington Women in Crisis, and about an upcoming event that we're hosting in the fall called Take Back the Night and ways in which you folks can support that. So I'll start with a little bit of information about Guelph Wellington Women in Crisis. For those who haven't heard of us before, we're a feminist, community-based, not-for-profit organization that has been serving Guelph and Wellington County since 1977, providing free services to those who experience different forms of gender-based violence, so sexual violence, domestic violence, and human trafficking. In terms of why our work is important, it's estimated that 1 in 3 women will experience sexual or domestic violence in their lifetime. 1 in 6 men, or 1 in 2 trans and gender nonconforming individuals. At any given night, over 6,000 women and children sleep in shelters because home is not a safe place. And we know that different groups of individuals experience violence at higher rates than others, such as Indigenous women, young women, and women of color. So in terms of the programs and services that we offer at Women in Crisis, as I mentioned, all of our programs and services are free. So we're really trying to make those services as barrier-free as possible to those who need them most in the community. We have an office in Guelph, as well as our Rural Women Support Program, which serves all of Wellington County. And that rural program has offices in Erin, Fergus, Mount Forest, and Palmerston. But a little bit about our services, we provide trauma counseling through our Sexual Assault Center for anyone who's experienced any form of sexual violence. We have our Transitional Housing and Support Program and our emergency shelter, Marianne's Place, which provides access to both emergency shelter and connections to long-term independent housing. We have our Family Court Support Program, which supports those who have or are experiencing abuse and are navigating family court. And our anti-human trafficking program, which provides a wide range of services to those who have or are experiencing trafficking. And finally, we have public education, which is me, who runs all of our education and awareness events, as well as provides workshops and trainings for free to youth and organizations, workplaces, and more. That's just a little bit about us. In the last year, we've served over 1,000 clients. Our crisis line has responded to over 3,000 calls. And with the pandemic, what we really have focused on is providing clients with what they need most in terms of groceries and food assistance. And so in the last year, we've also provided over $20,000 worth of gift cards to clients. But just why I really am here tonight is to talk to you about an event that we hold called Take Back the Night, and some other ways that you folks can get involved with that. So this is a list of different education and awareness days that we run throughout the year to really keep the conversations about gender-based violence going, whether it's about human trafficking or International Women's Day, Sexual Assault Prevention Month, Pride Month, and leading up into September, which we do Take Back the Night each year. So for those who haven't heard of Take Back the Night before, this is an event that happens locally every year, but it also is part of a global movement that started in around the 1970s to connect women with efforts to essentially reclaim their communities and make them safe for themselves. The name Take Back the Night, you know, a lot of women don't feel safe walking home alone at night or even just existing in the world. And so this event that we do each year is really to raise awareness about sexual violence and also to engage community members in seeing themselves as part of that solution and ending it. And so this is an event each year that we typically will do in the Guelph area, and we have, you know, a rally with speakers, and then we typically hold a march. But we, because of COVID, haven't had this event for 2 years now. So what we're doing this year is that we're doing a live stream event. So we'll have some of our speakers in person where folks can watch online. But the other way that we want to engage community in that feeling of something that they can do to engage in, but also in that march that they could do with their friends, their families, their loved ones, is to do a campaign called Take Back the Trail. So what we would love to do is to have educational and awareness signs placed on trails and parks throughout Wellington County, as well as Guelph, to help engage community members in these conversations about sexual violence, as well as to raise awareness about who we are in the community and the virtual event that we're doing. So kind of the rationale behind this education and awareness campaign is that it's something to reach folks who might not be connected to our programs and services, might not know who we are. As I said, this event has typically been Guelph-based, and we really want to extend that outreach of that to throughout Wellington County and to spark conversations about Take Back the Night. So we've developed and created kind of some small lawn signs that, so it's a series of 5 that we would like to put in 2 parks in North Wellington area, the Arthur Community Park Trail and Murphy Park in Mount Forest. And I have some images on the next slide to give you an idea of what that could look like. So, you know, kind of putting them, you know, to the side of the trail where they're not in the way, eye-catching, you know, a nice bright purple color, and really, you know, so folks can kind of like stop and think and look, oh, what's that? And, you know, read more about it. So this is a close-up of what the signs would look like. So starting off with some statistics about the amount of women that experience sexual violence in their lifetime and talking about how different groups are impacted. We have information there about our website, our social media, and the QR codes. That's like folks can scan them on their phone and it'll take them to our event page for Take Back the Night so they can learn more. Some different ways that community members can engage in efforts to end sexual violence. So some different actions that folks can take in their personal lives to be part of that work. Again, just about Take Back the Night, what that is. Asking, you know, how can folks participate? How can folks engage? And another thing too that we would love to see if folks are out and see these, to take photos, to tag us, to help spread that word and that awareness. And then lastly, the last kind of image there would be, you know, information about our programs and services, our crisis line. So if folks are seeing this and, you know, might not have known that we've existed, they'll know who to reach out to for support, how to connect. But that's kind of the spiel of our Take Back the Trail campaign and Take Back the Night in general. My contact information is there if folks have any questions or want to reach out after today. As I mentioned too, we do have offices throughout Wellington County. So if you ever wanted to get in touch with the folks who are working in your communities as well, their contact information is there as well. But that is all from me. I hope I didn't go too much over my time here, but I'll just stop if anyone has any questions about that.
All right, thanks, Jensen, for that. That's some pretty interesting information. Any questions, Brian? Anything?
No, I don't really have a question other than I want to thank Jensen for her presentation. It was very good. It's a neat idea, I think, and I like a lot of things. You need to have the conversation before you can, you know, spread the awareness in the community. And I think this is a good way of doing it. I support the initiative. Absolutely.
Oh, very good. So is this something that you get involved with Mandy and Tom and Matt to get organized? Is that how we would proceed with this, or where do we go from here, I guess?
I have been in touch with Mandy about this project so far, who has brought me to this meeting to kind of let you folks know about it, to bring you in the know. But really, we just want to make sure that what we're doing is okay with you folks, that you folks support it, and that it's not going to get in the way with like any groundskeeping activities that's going on or any other park events that you folks might have going on. So whatever you folks need me to do, I'm happy to do it to make it happen.
All right. Tom.
Yeah, hi, Jensen. I don't believe you'll interfere with any of our work or anything. My only question is, are you guys put the signs out and then you guys take them down? I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is one thing I forgot to mention. So they are also like relatively non-intrusive signs. They're, if anyone's seen like election signs that they have that have those H wire frame stakes, they just go on the ground. So we would put those up from September 7th and then take them out on September 17th. So it would just be kind of in the week lead up to our virtual event, and we would put them up and take them down for sure.
All right. Now, Mike, I guess, does this go to council? Does it get to, if it gets the support here, does it need to go to council for further support, or where do we go from here?
I think given the nature of it, Councillor Yake, that if the committee's supportive, we'll note that in the minutes based on what I've heard, and that the minutes will get approved by council, and then we've basically got a clear runway for Jensen and to work with Mandy and Tom. So
okay, all right. Any other questions or comments? So it sounds to me as if the committee will support it, Jensen. So I think if you want to just continue staying in touch with Mandy and getting it, put together and organized, I think you certainly have our committee's support, and we wish you all the best.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you very much for your support. It really does mean a lot to us. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care. Do you want a motion to support that initiative, Mr. Chair, or Mike, or how do you want to handle that?
we could formalize a motion, Councillor Milne, or we could just indicate that, in the minutes that the committee members supported the initiative, and that, that once the minutes are approved, I think that will be fine. We're not actually looking for staff commitment. It's more about utilizing the space. So I don't think we need to formalize it necessarily through
a
resolution at this point.
Yeah, there's no financial impact, I guess. So that's good. Yep, thank you.
As long as it's in the minutes, we're okay to move forward. Okay, sounds good. All right, our second deputation is Kelly Dimmick in regards to the demolition derby. Welcome, Kelly, to the committee meeting, and the floor is all yours.
All right, hello everyone. Thank you for allowing me to join your meeting and discuss my event request. My request is to rent the grounds of the arena for a demolition derby on October 2nd. It would follow the same format that the fireworks festival has in July. All insurance and whatnot would be in place. All safety measures would be in place and would be followed at whatever phase we're in at the time. This is an event that I would like to host with a new business that I've actually started in Mount Forest. It's underneath the Hometown Apparel and Boutique and Gifts, which is formerly Cynthia and Company. It's called Track Shot Tees. We're all about demolition derby and racing and people going out and wrecking cars at the end of the day. That's what it's all about. Profits from this event would all be going to the Chamber for Business Support. I'm also on the board of directors for the Chamber of Commerce, and being a business owner, understand the difficulties that we have had over the past 18 months. So any support that we can get business-wise would be wonderful. All cleanup and all, all responsibilities that we have to give the grounds back to the township would be acknowledged, to give it back the same way we found it. We would be having a food truck or two. That would also depend on how many people we actually have. And then there would be spectators, and that would be in accordance to whatever the government is allowing at the time. I know at this point we're allowed 50% capacity for a sporting event. And that's really, at the end of the day, what my proposal is. I would, just to sum it up, like to have a derby on October the 2nd, with proceeds going to the Chamber for business betterment and following all rules that would be in place at the time. And if there's any questions, I would be happy to take them.
All right, thanks, Kelly, for that presentation. Is there any questions in regards to Kelly's request?
I don't have any questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Tom, did I see your hand up?
With Fireworks Festival, they have the whole grounds. At the same time as this going on, we should be having our ice run, and that parking lot will be utilized by patrons for the arena. So I'm not sure how we get around that. I'm just bringing it to the attention of the committee here. And I don't know if you have any plans for that, Kelly, or had thought about the arena being used. I just know when fireworks is on, they rent the whole grounds and the building. So there's nothing that can come into the building at the same time as that. So
to answer your question, I don't really think that I would need the inside of the arena, provided that I could have porta potty rentals on the grounds. The only reason I would need to be inside is so that people can use the washroom. Everything else would be outside. However, it is a Saturday. I don't know what the hockey schedule is. To be honest with you, I never even thought about the hockey schedule, but I would want both sides of the parking lot. I feel that I would need access to both. And then the derby would be in the area that it has been for the last few years with the blocks and whatnot. It's the grass area off the pavement on the west side of the building.
okay, so yeah, we would have no parking for running the arena events that day.
Yeah, the date kind of changes things a little bit in that regard. Councilor Brian,
Is it, would it be possible to have parking for the derby event on the north side of the street there at the parking lot, the gravel lot? And leave the other parking for the arena event? Is that like put the ice hockey or whatever you want to call it, parking on the east side of the building? Is that something doable, Tom, or I don't know.
It's possible. There would have to be some traffic control. Probably.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I would be willing to have the volunteers for the traffic control. Just thinking obviously on the spot, because the rink wasn't even in my radar. Would it be possible for vehicles then to use, like the arena activity vehicles, to use the east side of the arena and allow me the west side, and then the parking lot on the north side there, making sure that my directions are proper? Would that be a possibility?
That's kind of where I was going, but I have no idea whether that would work or not.
I
terms
would
of capacity.
definitely need the parking on the west side of the arena, and I'm assuming that our spectator allowance is more than the 50% that it is now. Fingers crossed. We would have the bleachers in, much like the fireworks festival does too. So that's why I'm asking for that whole area.
What what kind of spectator capacity do you anticipate?
Well, it's 50% now. And to my understanding, when we head into phase 4, it is supposed to go to 75%. And phase 4, I don't have the dates, but I do believe it's coming upon us rather soon. And fingers crossed by the time October rolls around that we will actually be at full capacity, as long as everyone is following the mask rules and whatever will be in place. I don't have the full answers for that at this time, though, because it's all, of course, according to the control of COVID.
Yeah, what would the maximum amount of attendance you would be able to have if we didn't have COVID, just to figure out 50%?
I know in the past with the fireworks festival, I do believe we were in and around the 1,000 spectators mark. Now that also included the drivers and everyone that they brought. And then I do believe at the time I think we had actually 4 different bleachers, which I'm thinking I'm only going to do 2 because people can just stand as well. I think, to be fair, though, I can't accurately answer that number because it's all going to depend on who wants to come out and watch. And, everyone is tired of being at home right now. So I would think that a fun event such as this may generate a large crowd.
Like,
So Kelly, is the intent that you're going to charge the attendance? So is there are you just bringing in someone and you're bringing them into a particular area to charge them for access? So that's the intent. It's going to be roped off the area. Is that the intent?
Yes, same setup as the fireworks festival.
Councillor Yeague, would it be worthwhile to share screen and just maybe look at the site just so we can have a better sense of what we're talking about here from a parking standpoint? Is that
yeah,
agreeable? Let me see if I can.
That'd be fine.
Thank you.
So I'm assuming everybody can see kind of the arena site at this point.
Mhm.
I can see it.
Yep.
So yeah, the scrolling is over top of the existing parking area, and my understanding is kind of the Derby's back in this area, Kelly, correct?
That's correct.
And then the seating is facing the Derby area, but backing towards the arena. Is that how
That's
you guys
correct.
did it? Right?
You have to be, don't quote me on this, but I do believe there has to be 15 feet between the actual blocks of the event and then where the seating starts. And I could be way off on that number, but there are rules that we have to follow to maintain the safety of the spectators.
So Kelly, your ask was about this parking lot here being for the Derby, this parking lot here potentially also Derby, and that this parking lot would be able to service the facility.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. Yeah, I just thought, sorry, for my own mind to wrap around what it is that we're asking about and what the intent is. So really it would be this side of the facility would be the Derby activities. Let's say from, do you have a timeline, Kelly?
I would like to start it around 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the Saturday. And then I would think that it would be wrapped up by about 6 o'clock as far as the cars leaving. And then of course we would have to take care of our cleanup. And that is largely depending on how many cars actually show up. But for the most part, Derbies run, 4 to 5 hours.
Mike, Mike, if you could just keep it up there for a second.
Okay.
So the south part of the parking lot, is that where are you intending to put your food trucks and that type of thing?
I would put the food trucks on the north, the north side of the parking lot. I would think probably closer to the building on that side would be a reasonable spot. That yes, that's probably where I would put them. I mean, with the fireworks festival, they're in the Campbell DeVore parking lot, but for this one here, I would not put them over there. I'd want them as close as we possibly can get them to the actual activity.
Is there, excuse me, Dan, is there room? The Derby itself is going to be, blocked off in there.
Mhm.
Is there room in that grassed area for your where you're going to park the cars as they await to participate, or where will there be a sort of a staging area for the event? Is there enough room for that there as well?
Yes, there's enough. The cars will not be in the grass area. They'll be on what is, I do believe, the gravel area as they're entering. Again, same, there's no room on the grass area because there's that big mound of dirt that's there.
Okay.
But yes, all of the action would take place on the north side of the building, and then any cars like truck and trailers and cars that are parked in the Campbell DeVore parking lot would come out of the parking lot and then head north on Princess and enter the north area, if I'm describing that properly. But we could totally, we could not be involved at all with the south side of the building. And then traffic direction would definitely be taking place because we would have to make sure that the vehicles are going where they need to go versus whoever's coming for the Derby activity versus whoever's there for the arena activity. And then another thing too that will be a factor is we're required to have medical on site. So that would have to be arranged as well. And then they would have a clear path out in case of an emergency elsewhere.
I think you'd have to have emergency services, i.e. fire department there
Yes.
as well. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Thank you, Brad. So I'm just back to you, Tom. Is this something that you think can work out? I mean, again, it's a Saturday night. You don't know really right now what the hockey or arena schedule probably is like. Is the hall rented for something else at that time? I mean,
No, I'm not sure of the hall rental right now. I don't know that one. I know the ice will be rented. That's potential for the first Patriot game, the first Saturday in October.
Figures.
Yeah, hopefully we keep going. We don't know where the numbers are going to go with COVID. So
yeah.
The other thing is fencing. We'll have patrons that will come out of the arena into your event, Kelly. Should probably be fenced off so those people can't just go wander over and watch too. You want to make your revenue. I'm thinking some of the other areas on the grounds that we do keep cut at the back of the arena or where the new pool is going to go. I don't know if we could utilize that land. So
that was a discussion in the past. I know with the fireworks festival, because I'm actually the one that brought the Derby to town for the fireworks festival. And there was a reason why I can't remember 100%, but there was a reason why we were actually put on the backside of the arena versus being in that area. And I don't recall what that was at this time.
Okay. And I wasn't here at that time either.
Yeah. There's definitely a reason for it. However, if that was an option, I'd be all over that because it would definitely make things a lot easier.
Yeah, my suggestion where Mike, you had the cursor there, that land where the pool was going. I don't know if that's an option to utilize that. Then they would have that side of the building, the soccer parking lot would be utilized. And then the arena would still just stay on its own. If it's possible, I don't know if it is.
Right. Is there a chance that maybe Kelly, you could maybe meet with Tom and go over the site location so that we had just a better, if there's an alternative I don't think anybody's not wanting to support it. I think it's just a matter of logistics and trying to get it set up. And if one, which Tom is not right sure of right now, is if there's a hall rental, and two, if there is hockey or a Patriots game, you know, the logistics might just be kind of won't work. So I don't know if there's an opportunity for you, Kelly, to go and meet with Tom. Tom, would you be willing to meet with Kelly and kind of go over the site and just see what the best alternative might be?
Yeah, I'd have no problems. Thursday or Friday, Kelly, if it's possible, if you could come here, if we could connect and do a walk around.
Thursday would work better for me. Is there a specific time?
Yeah, I have one meeting at 8:30, so after that.
Okay, how about, do you want to do 9 o'clock in the morning?
That works perfect.
All right. And then just an FYI, I have about 45 minutes because then I have to open my store.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Kelly, those dates and times that you shared, are those set in stone? Is there some flexibility around that, depending upon what other activities are happening?
For the most part, yes. I mean, I would be willing to entertain other options, but what's happening is with the world kind of opening back up again, there's actually lots of derbies that are scheduled. And this was the available date that I had with the promoter. I might be able to push it a week, but then if I push it a week, then that's running into Thanksgiving weekend. And I didn't really want to do that. And then any later, then Thanksgiving weekend is actually kind of getting too late, because then we do run the risk that we're dealing with snow, which I hate to say the S word, but you know, it is a possibility. So I would really, really prefer the second.
This is Wellington North. It doesn't snow there until December.
And we're looking at kind of a 1 o'clock till 6 o'clock or noon till 6 o'clock kind of window.
Yeah, we would
Right.
be like the derby itself would run from 1 till 5 or 6 o'clock, or 2 to 5 or 6 o'clock, but the cars would start rolling in probably, you know, 10 o'clock in the morning, because they have to go through tech and everything, and then people just like to be the early bird and, you know, get the best parking spots and whatnot. And then the other thing too, for this date being picked, is there's actually a few other derbies that are going on in the area. One of them being at Varney, which is, I do believe it is I think it's the long weekend. Don't quote me, but there's a bunch going on. So the reason why we picked our date is because in the derby world, people don't want to store their cars over the winter. So this is kind of the last derby of the season. There may be a little trickles elsewhere, but then we're counting on the car count being high, because people want to finish off their cars and, you know, call it the end of the season.
All right. Okay.
Strategy of the car demolishing world. I have no idea. I live in a sheltered world.
You've been educated.
Again.
Yeah, I can tell you a lot more. This is the world that I live in.
Oh, wait, we're being recorded.
Matt, you had that question, yes.
Yep, thanks, Chair McCabe. Just a question and a comment. The question for Kelly, and you might have answered it, there's sort of a promoter in the background, but is that where the volunteer group comes from, or is there a Lions group or a Chamber of Commerce group in the background, or just where do you expect the volunteers to come from?
Well, yeah. So I'm on the board of directors for the Lions, the board of directors for the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm also on the board of directors for the Fireworks Festival. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but I'm quite sure I can rally up some troops.
Okay, and then my other comment, it's really a comment, just the township doesn't have a rental rate, Chair McCabe, for like the parking lot facility. So that's something staff would just have to give some consideration to as it relates to a rate for parking lot rentals, depending on, I guess, what the site is.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Matt.
So I do have one more question. And I don't like to assume, because I know that that's what happens there. But after I meet with Tom, and if we can come up with come up with a plan and the logistics work out, do I have the go ahead to make this happen?
I will ask Mike to answer that question.
I'm supportive of the event in principle,
Yeah.
absolutely. As
Yeah,
long
me
as-
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, Kelly, I think the support piece is there. I think typically what we'd want to do is try to iron out the issues
Yep.
and have a recommendation that comes either to this committee or to council from staff saying, hey, we've worked it all out and we have a participant and making them aware that, yeah, it's a go ahead. So I would say you have the support. I wouldn't go as far as saying you have a runway at this point. We still need to work that out, and there still needs to be a recommendation that our council will need to approve. So,
Okay, fair. And when is council? And the reason I'm asking these questions is because I'm on a time crunch too, to make sure that I get everything lined up.
yeah, and grateful that you were able to come, and we had hosted this meeting in August to allow some time for that. There are council meetings now. The next one is scheduled for the 23rd of August. So the intent would be hopefully that these minutes from this meeting would come to that council. At that council meeting, someone would poll those minutes and we would discuss this particular issue, hopefully with a recommendation from staff.
Excellent.
Is that timeline okay for you, Kelly? Then what is it, Mike? 23rd date?
23rd is the next council, yes.
23rd. So is that give you enough time, Kelly, if that's what happens?
It's tight, but I really want the event to happen, so I'll make it work.
Okay, all right.
Now, do I
Okay.
need to attend that meeting?
Well, I mean, you can, I guess if it's, you would have to be put on as a delegation, Mike. If there was any questions, any other questions, I guess, that came from council.
Yeah, Kelly, there's potential that, yeah, obviously we have one member of council here, but there may be other questions. So I would suggest that, yeah, if we're going to pull the report, that it wouldn't be a bad idea for you to be on in case there are questions that council is looking for. So,
Okay.
okay. And that meeting is at 7 p.m. And yeah, when you get once you've had the opportunity to meet with Tom, we'll have a better sense of what direction we're heading. And then we can coordinate more in terms of what that will look like at council.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Okay.
thanks,
Thank
Kelly.
you, Kelly. Thanks for the presentation. So I see that Councillor McCabe has woken up and has joined us.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you?
Well, yeah, good day. You're just in time for a motion to adjourn, I think.
Perfect. What did I miss?
Yeah, nothing.
I apologize. I've been called away for at work and just got off the phone, so I do apologize for that. And I'm sorry I missed Kelly's presentation. So
She did a smash up job.
perfect.
So you can, if you are prepared, you can assume the chair here, Steve, or we can carry on as need be. So
Thanks very much, Dan.
you're welcome. We are at the ad hoc committee updates.
Perfect. Matt, I guess I'll push that over to you.
Yep, thanks, Chair McCabe. The first one is the Mount Forest Aquatics Committee update, and there was a meeting called the evening of July 6th as it relates to really getting the logo approved, as well as requesting some sponsor or some swag funding from council, and those have subsequently went to council, and those items are on order with and anticipated to be hitting the street this weekend at the sidewalk sale. And that's kind of an update of what that meeting, it was sort of very focused on the funding piece or requesting some funding, but certainly available to answer any questions if there are any.
Matt, did you say their swag is available this weekend?
Most recent information I have is that the plan is that it will be available this weekend.
Okay, great. Look forward to that. And that's the sidewalk sale in Mount Forest, so that'll be good. Bring your money, Councillor Milne. Go
Well,
ahead.
I was just wondering, is that Maple Leaf blue or is that Blue Jay blue on there?
Just for the committee's awareness around the swag piece. So we're working out some logistics as it relates to the sales and what that means. Obviously we're in an environment right now where people are avoiding cash to a certain degree. So now with sidewalk sales and things like our farmers market, I think cash is still prevalent, and hopefully that will be the case. But I know that the members of the swag committee, let's call them, are looking at every opportunity in terms of supporting sales, and so there is some logistics around that which complicate things. But for those on the call or attending and looking to buy swag, bring cash. That's it always works. So
Perfect. Cash does wonders. Any questions for Matt about the excuse me, ad hoc committee special meeting or comments?
Nope, I'm good.
Nope, none for me.
Thanks, Matt. I will pass on to the next one. It's the Arthur BMX Skate Park. Sorry, no, Wade, did you? Sorry, Dan, I meant to ask. Did you have a recommendation for that? Like, do we have a seconder and a mover and a seconder? So I'll say that that ad hoc was, I guess, moved by Dan and seconded by Deputy Milne. Sorry, I just missed that. All in favor to that recommendation? Thank you very much. I'll move on to the Arthur BMX Skate Park Ad Hoc Committee of July 7th, 2021. I have a recommendation that the Rec Parks and Leisure Committee receive for information the minutes of the Arthur BMX Skate Park Ad Hoc Advisory Committee meeting of July 7th, 2021. And I believe, Mandy, you're going to have our Councillor Lisa Hearn in, and Wayne and Alan join us from the Lions. So I will say that Deputy Mayor Milne, you moved that, and Dan seconded it, and we'll have a good chat about this. So I'll pass it over to you, Matt.
Oh, thanks, Chair McCabe. The minutes are included in the agenda package, and I would maybe draw particular focus to page 3 or page 2 of 3, and specifically within bullet number 2, there's some wording along the lines of the Lions Club anticipates the fundraising accounts will reach $100,000 combined by December 31st, 2021, with all of the continued fundraising efforts. And the initial estimate to build the BMX skate park were approximately $250,000. The committee questioned if the township would consider offering a loan to the Lions Club to close the gap on funding to complete the project in 2022. That was a big item from the meeting, and I think the members of the BMX committee are here to speak to those two items that were included in the minutes.
Thanks, Matt. Wayne or Councillor Hearn, who would like to go first? Or Al, would you? You're muted, Al. We gotta. There you go.
Am I on there now?
Yep, we can hear you.
I'm not used to these things. I didn't realize I was going to be asked to speak, so I don't have any prepared notes or anything else. But our main concern at that last meeting that we had with Lisa Hearn and Mandy was that for this thing to happen next July, to open and start, things would have to start moving this fall to get quotes and so forth to get it on the go. But we don't know right now what kind of scope is involved because of the financing. We lost 1.5 years of fundraising. So we're anticipating that by the end of this year, we could have $100,000. So what we didn't know was, do we just go with that and buy whatever that can buy, or can we do we do the whole thing and try to work something out? So that was where I stood.
Right. Councillor Hearn or Wayne?
I just thought maybe I would point out, Al, maybe you could point out to the committee the reasoning that you'd like to do it next year. They may not be aware of the significance of having this done in 2022?
Well, the original idea was that we promoted this to coincide with the if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the 150th anniversary of the founding of the Village of Arthur. So the idea was to use that to commemorate it as well. So that's the reasoning for trying to do it for, let's say, the 1st of July next year.
All right.
Anybody else, like Wayne or anybody else want to add to that, feel free.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, I might as well hype up. Yeah, so I think around 100,000, and the Lions have kind of been a little kicked in the teeth. I think with COVID-19, it was certainly something that we couldn't anticipate. And they're doing their very best for fundraising. Number one, it's difficult going to businesses right now in this type of climate. But number two, the Lions are a little bit different than some of the other community groups that are raising funds, and that this group of people, they sweat it out, right? They believe in a lot of the money that was going towards this is earned from, correct me if I'm wrong, Al and Wayne, through many of your events, like, and through your food booth at the fair. And of course, there was no Arthur Fair, and there won't be one this year either. And even with Main Street right now in Arthur, it's even hard to set up a stand to flip hamburgers. So that's kind of part of the problem. And go jump in, because you guys are the ones that do all this work. I do nothing. So.
Yeah,
Well-
basically our fundraising always revolves around food. We've had the one successful chicken barbecue last week. We've got another one scheduled for September and hopefully November. We do have a permission from the Royal Bank to hold a barbecue bank barbecue on the 3rd of September. We'll be discussing that we've got a meeting tomorrow night that we're gonna discuss our path forward, but those are basically our food raising ideas for right now.
There was a tentative date in November too, or did you say that and I missed it?
The tentative date for chicken barbecue will probably be around the first or second week in November, because if we're able to have our craft show, that'll be around the 21st of November, I believe. And due to our manpower situation, we'll have to have the chicken barbecue a couple of weeks ahead of time so we don't burn everybody out.
Fair enough. Go ahead, Dan.
So Al or Lisa or Wayne, so by the end of the year, we hope to have $100,000 in the bank from your fundraising efforts that are continuing on, as slow as albeit is going. But you're really kind of going to ask the township for a loan of $150,000. Is that correct? So that this project can proceed.
Yeah,
next
that'd
year.
be the approximate amount.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. All right.
My one concern I have, Dan, on that is that up until now, we've been able, or at least the township has been able to issue tax receipts for monies donated. And incidentally, that 100,000 includes what the township has received as well as what we have raised. That's an aggregate total. But if the township steps in and fronts that money and we go ahead with the project, for us to raise the balance of 150,000, I think according to the tax laws, I don't think we or anybody would be able to issue tax receipts for that money. I don't know if I'm correct or not, but that's something to think about. I don't know how much tax receipts impact people's willingness to give money.
Mhm. Yeah. I guess, Mike, that's more of a question for for you or the finance department, I guess, in regards to the tax receipts, but
Yeah, I
is
have,
it
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Dan.
I just was gonna say, I mean, is it something that if this is something that we would consider, is it something that we need to start obviously discussing now so that the Lions Club can continue their planning?
Yeah, if it's okay, Steve,
Yeah,
I'll,
please go ahead,
Yep.
Mike. I was going to ask you to,
yep.
address it anyways.
Yeah, I think there's two things at play from the township perspective, and Al raises a good point about the tax receipt piece. The thinking has typically been we can issue tax receipts up until the point of the project completion, but that's typically when we're doing, there isn't a loan kind of involved. It's a different scenario. It's typically we raise the funds right up till the date we start construction. This is going to happen as well, but there's, yeah, the idea of we're fronting the money and then trying to collect donations after. So I don't have an answer for that, I guess, is the short part of that. The other piece around this is that council's position, at least I think dating back to 2016, is that for recreation enhancements, all the funds need to be in place in order for the project to go ahead. Now, what I think the Lions are suggesting is, hey, the funds are in place. You guys are going to help with the funding, and we're going to continue to collect dollars. Part of the thinking around council's decision around that, and I don't want to put all the words in your mouth, was that it's really hard to fundraise for something that's already done. And Al knows that, and Wayne knows that, and Councillor Hearn knows that as well. If you go ahead with the project and then start trying to ask people to donate to it, it's a lot harder when it's already there. They're like, what am I donating for? It's already built, kind of thing. But that's just a factor that will have to be considered. So those are the two things that I think are at play. It does set a bit of a precedent because we have stipulated to all the other organizations who are raising funds that we don't typically get started until all the dollars are in place. But those are things that council will need to make a decision about.
Thanks, Mike. And one thing I might add is this might not be appetite for this, but is there like a phase one that you could do for the BMX park so that the 100,000 could start, and then we could fundraise for phase two for the other 150,000, meaning that you could still open on the dates that, like, next year that you wanted, and then do another phase or two phases after next year. Is that something that you guys had considered, or that the committee had considered at all?
Yes, we've considered that, but we still didn't have any definite ideas to whether if you split it up into 2 or 3 phases, the whole project, can you still issue receipts, let's say, on phase 2 donations or phase 3 donations?
Mike, I'm going to turn to you for this one.
Yeah, it's a good question, Alan. I think as long as there is construction as part of phase 2, so basically completion of phase 2, my initial answer would be yes, but I think, yeah, we'd want to look into it a little bit further to make sure that that's the case. And again, Al, you raised it too, and it's a question that I raise regularly. If tax receipts are the be all and end all as it relates to the fundraising, I think that it maybe isn't. Lots of people appreciate it, but it's not the primary reason, in my opinion, that people donate. And you guys, the Lions specifically, raise funds, as you said, Wayne said, a lot of food events, and there's no tax. You're not getting a donation receipt for supporting the chicken barbecues, and the community does all those things because they know it's for the good of the community and it's good food. So why not?
A win-win. Go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, two things. I just wanted to ask the Lions, and I think I'm aware of this number, how much you guys typically in a normal year pre-COVID would earn from your chicken barbecues and your various events that you normally set up for.
Oh gosh, we had addressed that issue a couple of years ago. I think Wayne will recall, and that was when Brent was attending a meeting. We had come up with a rough number of what we could raise.
I believe it was around 50,000.
Yeah. I believe it was between 50 and 60 is what I had kind of penciled
Now,
out. at that point.
that's a normal year. I don't know what's normal anymore. And I don't know if that number would be valid. It's very hard to say. We thought by this time we would be at around the 200,000 mark. We're only
Right.
halfway to that, it's hard to say. But if going the loan route, if you want to call it that, financing route by the township is that difficult, then, well, maybe we just got to do what we call phase one, put a big slab down and put the skateboard ramps and stuff and call that phase one. I don't know, maybe that's what we got to do. I mean, if I remember correctly, the quote I had from Canadian Ramp at the time was about 50,000 for the skateboard ramps, and we had estimated 20 or 30,000 or something like that for the concrete slab. So now the prices would have gone up, but I'm hoping that 100,000 should at least get us phase one. I don't know, but we won't know till we go for quotes.
But I guess when was the last time you would have been talking to the installers or the company?
Oh, they contact me once in a while just to make sure that the project is still alive, and I reassure them that we're still working on it. And of course, they understand the position we've been in, not being able to raise funds for a long time. But I haven't had any direct contact with them about pricing or anything since they gave me the original quotes, which is probably 2 years ago, or maybe even more by now.
Okay. Lisa, I saw you had your hand up there.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that that's not necessarily the company that we're going to go with, because if we would follow the township's policies, then
Yeah.
the reasoning for the timing right now is that we need to issue the request for proposal. Is that's correct, Mike? Mike's listening.
Go ahead, Mike.
That
Yeah,
needs to
typically,
go out
yeah,
pretty quickly.
Yeah, a project
Um,
of this scale, we'd issue a request for proposal and see who submitted. We anticipate, Canadian Ramps, who I'll reference, would be one of those, but there may be others that would want to make a fair submission around, a skateboard park.
But if we're going to get it done in the time frame that we need to next year, or at least even a phase thereof, we need to figure out now what is going to be included in that, so that we can get that done.
Yes, you need the scope of supply.
Fair enough. Matt, I saw you come online. Is there have an additional comment? Excuse me.
No, thanks, Chair McCabe. Yeah, I was just going to echo what Lisa said as it relates to the township's procurement policy, and probably a RFP would need to be out in October in order to kind of meet a July 1st timeline, I think. If you work it back where the tendering period's 40 days, and then it has to go to council for award, and then they have to order the equipment. So I think it's good we're having this conversation in August, because October comes pretty quick.
What if say council does not want to do the loan? Say I'll play devil's advocate for a minute or two, and be the bad guy that usually Mike is. Say council says, no, we're not in the interest of this. We have a policy that you guys have to have all your money up front before work goes ahead. Would you guys be okay with phasing it as we suggested?
Well, I don't think we would really have any other choice.
Yeah.
We want to try and honor the promises we made about having this in place for next year.
Mhm.
So, I guess half a loaf is better than no loaf at all. But in addition to what Matt said about having the RFP or RFQ go out by October, one other thing I think probably needs to be cleared is the actual location, to make sure there's nothing in the ground that we don't know about.
Oh, I see what you mean, like do locates
there shouldn't be anything there, but you can't guess.
Yeah. I wouldn't throw all my weight behind that for sure. All right, thank you very much for this. Lisa, it looked like you almost were going to raise your hand there.
Yeah, another point that I just thought of just for your consideration. Yeah, and Al brought this up, I think, is that when people donated to this and have contributed to it, they have contributed to the entire concept. And if we break it down into phases, then I don't know, hopefully they're happy to contribute to a phase, but not necessarily. So it's just something to think about.
That's true.
Yep, I don't, it's good to have all options on the table for sure. Do you guys, line members, Alan and Wayne, do you have any more comments or questions for us?
I don't think so at this time. I'd just like to thank council and this committee for inviting us to attend. And it's always good to have open communications, and then we all know which direction we're going. So thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for joining us tonight. All right, thank you very much. I have the recommendation on the table to receive those minutes. All in favor? Perfect. Thank you very much. All right, we will move on to
Matt has a question, Steve.
Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
Yep, sorry, Chair McCabe. I just wanted to, so coming out of that conversation, I think the township is going to try to answer some questions for that committee related to donation receipts and specifically the phasing. But is the BMX committee going to make a formal ask? Is that kind of how, I'm just trying to understand how it looks coming out of today, or what the expectation is coming out of today.
Go ahead, Mike.
My recommendation, Chair McCabe, is that when these minutes come to council, is that you pull this particular subject and we discuss with council the idea of phasing or the loan or whatever we want to call it at that point, and we have a decision that we can share with back with the Lions.
Okay, and then direction to staff as well. Okay, that sounds good to me.
I don't want to overstep as it relates to the committee, but I believe that the committee would probably prefers maybe not the right word, but would want that decision to happen at council. So pull this portion of the minutes. We have that wholesome conversation with council, and then that can go back to the Lions so they understand which direction council prefers.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, thanks, Matt. Thanks, Mike. All right, we've approved that already, so that's good. Thank you very much. And I will pass it over to you, Tom, for the Arthur Arena floor update.
Oh, thank you, Chair McCabe. Yeah, for the most part, the Arthur Arena floor is pretty much complete. There's a little bit of work left to do on the boards. Board ads have to go up. HBI is going to come in and clean the place up, get the dust and everything up. But they should be out of there in the next couple of weeks, I believe. Some really nice work, some new things in the boards that we haven't had in the past and don't have in Mount Forest. Some new kick plates along the outside. The outside of the boards are all covered in. Things that you guys may not be interested in, but from a maintenance standpoint, even the board glass, the partitions, to hold things up, to hold the glass up, there's no more screws in them. It's all, you push it up and it comes out. So
wow,
just maintenance issues that you don't have to deal with in the future. So very good. Once they're out of there, our staff are going to take and we'll power scrub all the floors, get the place cleaned up, seal the floor, and paint the lacrosse lines on for next year so that they're in place come springtime when the lacrosse players want to get on that floor. But overall, it's been a good job and it looks really good. If you get a chance, stop in and take a look.
Yeah, I was in. Thanks very much, Tom. Yeah, I was in a couple of weeks ago, and Christine and I took a quick tour, and you know, it just looks pristine with no puck marks on the board or anything like that. It's kind of eerie to see it like that. And then even the back of the boards having that covered up as well, just I think adds to less maintenance as well. The wood and the aluminum's not like the supports aren't showing. So hopefully that
Mhm.
makes it a lot, well, it looks a lot cleaner.
Yes.
Cleaner lines, and then hopefully makes it easier for us to keep it clean as well. So
No place to set your coffee when the back of the boards are covered up now.
no, that's right. That's right. Thanks for that, Tom. Any questions from the committee for Tom? All right, thank you very much, Tom. And we have a recommendation that the Rec Parks and Leisure Committee receive for information the verbal arena floor update. I will say that was moved by member Yake and seconded by member Milne. All in favor? Great, thank you very much. And going to the next, we have items for considerations. It's correspondence that we put out to the Arthur Seniors Hall and Damascus Community Hall. And I have a recommendation that the Rec Parks and Leisure Committee receive for information the correspondence with the Arthur Seniors Hall and the Damascus Community Hall. And I'll say that was moved by member Milne and seconded by member Yake. And I will pass this over to you, Matt.
Yep. Thanks, Chair McCabe. Those are just a continuation of the correspondences that we've been having with those two facilities. You'll note that the Damascus Hall, it's kind of opened up to really just, we expect that to be the last letter, and the protocol going forward will just be to follow provincial and public health guidelines. And with the Arthur Senior Center, we recommended closure till the end of the month, but we expect to continue that closure. Again, we're doing this in conjunction with talks with the seniors, but I think the seniors recognize that some of the programming that they do at that facility isn't necessarily conducive to social distancing, and they've been accepting and agreeable to the closure, and we've been agreeable to waiving the fees. So with the Arthur Senior Center, we probably plan on doing that for at least September and potentially October in consultation with them. And the Damascus Hall will really just be left to operate by provincial and public health guidelines. And just a thanks to Mandy for facilitating and working with those groups, just to make sure we're on the same page. And I don't think by the time we send those letters, Chair McCabe, that those are surprises, which is a good thing.
Oh, and I think all along, having this communications with both the committees there in Damascus and the seniors has been good throughout this strange pandemic. So yeah, and I think it makes sense with what we're doing, especially with the social distancing in the Arthur Seniors Hall. It's fairly small and tight, so you can really get into it anyways with a big crowd. So thank you for that, Matt. Any questions from the committee?
No, I don't think so.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Thank you, Chair McCabe. And Matt, I'm just wondering on the, excuse me, the senior center in Arthur. And I'm not familiar with the building or the facility, but I'm just wondering from a standpoint of allowing the seniors to kind of get out and about, would there be any consideration given to, and I would think most seniors are now double vaxxed, would there be any consideration given to activities, restricted to those that are double vaxxed, and, just to try to allow the facility to be used in some way?
Through you, Chair McCabe. I think the township would be open if they wanted to have their board meetings there. Cards represent a large component of their programming, and because cards are closer contact, they've been agreeable at this time to kind of continue with the closure. But I think the township's open to those conversations, and as things develop, we're open to getting it open more soon. But I think really cards is a big mainstay as part of their programming, and because of that, I think they probably like the waiver of fees, and they maybe don't have the programming that would allow for them to feel comfortable at this time. Is kind of what the correspondence has been.
Yep. Okay. No, that's good. Maybe bigger tables.
Electronic, online.
Yeah, maybe. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Ryan, and thanks for that, Matt. I don't have any questions. I think, like I said, it's good to be in communications with them, and we'll move forward as we can. So I have that recommendation on the table, and I will ask for a vote. All in favor? Thank you very much. I will go to the round table. I'll start with the distinguished member from Southgate.
Oh my God.
Is he here?
Questions or
Goodness.
comments at all?
Where is he? No, I have nothing. Chair McCabe, I appreciate the invite. The hour of the day kind of sucks. I know Mike, he's working overtime. So, well, Matt is too, I guess. So anyway, that's good. Thank you.
No, and thanks for making that time switch for us. It didn't actually work out for me as you.
Well, yeah, the meeting did start at 4 o'clock. You've only been here for a few minutes, so.
Yeah, I know, this is great. I can go all night now. So, yeah, but no, thanks for making that switch, Brian. Appreciate that. And the whole committee and staff as well. Member Yake.
No, I'm okay. I do appreciate the change in time though for the meeting. It worked out, works better for me. So I do appreciate it. And again, I just like, thanks to all staff that are involved with recreation and parks and everything else for their efforts in keeping things going for the last, year and a half. And hopefully we can get off to a good start, this fall and carry on. So just thanks to everybody for their hard work.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, it's nice to see kind of hopefully an opening across Ontario for sure. And I think over this last year and a half, council, but rec in general, I think has done a lot with what has been thrown at them and the opportunities through this kind of a pandemic to do a lot of projects actually and keep moving ahead. So thanks very much for that. Anyone else, Mike or Matt or Tom or Mandy? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Chair McCabe, with your indulgence, I'm going to try and share screen again. There's been, and this is very high level, and I don't want to get into too many specifics, but I did want to share it with the committee. Recently, now I can't find what it was I was looking for. I'll maybe just give you the verbal at this point. Recently, a developer in the Mount Forest area approached with the concept of those of you guys that are familiar, I think you are, with the area or unopened section of Birmingham Street that runs out towards London Road. A developer has approached the township about basically the request is that would remain an unopened section of road and that it would become a walking trail, and that this developer would contribute towards the walking trail and leaving it in that state, which comes across as a very good idea, something that I think we've thought about from a staff perspective for a number of years. The challenge around that is that section of town right now is very heavily being developed, and whether or not Birmingham extended as a roadway is going to be needed to actually address the traffic that comes from that development is something that we're trying to give consideration to. But I just wanted to share that these are the type of opportunities that do come forward every once in a while, and that we, from a staff perspective, try to wrestle with the pros and cons associated with this. Certainly, it's a novel idea. The section is used as an unofficial trail right now and has been for a number of years, but there was a reason at one point that it was designated as a road, although it's an unopened road. So it gets complicated, never as simple as probably it should be. But I did want to share with the committee that we have been approached around this. One of the things that's happening right now is there's lots of development on Wellington Street East, very close by, and we've asked the developer who's doing that work to invoke a traffic impact study to give a sense of whether or not the roads in the area are suitable to deal with the new traffic that will come online with all the development. So when we have that information, it gives us a little bit more to work with whether or not we would ever need to open Birmingham. So I share it because it's interesting, it's unique, but it is the type of things that we're seeing now that we are very heavily developed, and more development opportunities are coming. These type of things are things that we're trying to address to make sure we have suitable green space, trails, recreation activities, combined with all of the new residents that are coming to Mount Forest.
Thanks for this, Mike, and thanks for that information. I know it's in the first steps. Was there some sort of a timeline or anything put on that at all, or just kind of more for information?
At this point, it's really just information. It's not something that we can really address until we have a better sense about the traffic impacts and whether or not Birmingham will need to be open to address the traffic, I guess. So we don't want to make a hasty decision without knowing the long-term implications.
No, that's fair.
Patience isn't necessarily my virtue, but sometimes it needs to be.
No, thanks. No worries. Thanks very much. And Matt, you had your hand up as well.
Yep, thanks, Chair McCabe. Just a couple items for committee's awareness. The RFP for the concept design for the Mount Forest outdoor pool is out on the market. So it closes in about mid-September. I don't remember the exact date, but there has been lots of pickups, so that that's out there. Looking to solicit a consultant who can help us come up with some concepts for that outdoor pool. The other one that's went out, and it just went out yesterday, is an RFP for an emergency generator at the Mount Forest and District Sports Complex. So that's something that internally we've talked about for a long time, as far as just having an emergency generator there. So that's out for pickup now. We're working on recruitment for a full-time recreation worker. So that's something that's ongoing. And yeah, day camp and the aquatics program are, I guess, past the midway point now in terms of we're into August, but yeah, lots of kids that are happy on a daily basis getting to go to camp or go swimming, and lots of work that goes in behind that too. So our aquatics and our day camp team have been doing a great job providing that service for the community, and Mandy's been leading the charge. So just wanted to highlight those 4 items for committee.
Thanks, Matt. And yeah, I've heard that the day camps are most welcome by the kids and parents, actually, as it turns out. And yeah, it's great. We have a great quarterback in Mandy, so kudos to her as well. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you, Steve. Matt, is the RFP to replace what's already there, or is this a new emerge generator? Because I thought the arena, I call it the arena community center, I thought it was an emergency shelter, like a warming center or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, you go ahead, Matt.
Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't mean to poke the bear. Maybe I was impolite in asking that question, but I'm innocently going to ask it.
Yeah, so the facility does not have a generator. When that facility was built, there was a concrete pad put in to place a generator. The ductwork has been installed to route the cable into the electrical room, and a manual transfer switch was installed, but the actual generator itself was never installed as part of the original facility build. So yeah, it's an emergency center, but right now it's lacking an emergency generator, which this RFP will look to resolve.
I see. So a stationary bicycle won't cut it.
You're more than welcome to try it out though, Brian.
Well, hey, you might be able to, an exercise center, to run some wires. I don't know. Try it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks, Brian. Thanks, Matt. And I think, Mike, correct me, I don't know how many meetings ago it was that we thought we better have a generator for an emergency area for the arena to be
maybe
transition period for us. So yeah, I can't remember how many months ago we did that, Brian. So yeah,
okay.
That's
good to know.
Yeah,
It's certainly been talked about for more than just months.
Yeah, we're finally getting around to it. So thanks for bringing that up. But I don't have anything. If there's nothing else from Mandy or Tom, I have a recommendation that the Township of Wellington North Rec Park Leisure Committee meeting of August 10th, 2021, be adjourned, excuse me, at 5:30, right on time, I might add, even with
Yep.
my delayed appearance. No, I did, in all seriousness, did want to thank everyone for making the time change, and I do apologize for being late. But thanks very much. I will say that that was moved by Councillor Yake and seconded by Deputy Mayor Milne. All in favor? Thanks very much. We are adjourned. Thanks again for taking time this evening or this afternoon, and have a good evening. Stay dry, and we'll see you everyone soon.
Yeah,
Thank you.
talk to you later.
Take care. Bye now.
Thanks, everybody.
Everybody.
Yep, good meeting.